Good morning, everyone. How are you doing? So this is our very first online class in mathematics. So for this year, our very first topic is all about inequalities. So we've learned already how to solve equations. We know that equation uses equal sign, but for this time, we're going to use other symbols for inequality. I know you do have idea already about this one. So let's begin. Now let's define first the word inequality. What is inequality? So an inequality is the relationship between two unequal quantities. So if two quantities are not equal, so we use inequality in that aspect. The symbols used are the following. So for A, this one is greater than, and for B, we have less than. So the symbol, this one, greater than opens to the left, while less than opens to the right. So let's have another example wherein we can apply inequality. For example, you were asked, identify the relationship greater than or less than based on the following situations. So in these following situations, you have to identify what is the relationship. So you can describe it as greater than or less than. For A, the number of people in a room is below 20. And for B, Sandra has a grade which is over 95. So we have to be mindful of the keywords given. For example, here we have below, and for B, we have over. So to describe them, our solutions are A, it's less than because below means less than. And for B, it's greater than because over means greater than. Let's have other examples wherein we are going to use real numbers. So write the relationship between the two numbers in the following sets of numbers using the symbol. So we know this one is greater than and this one is less than. So for A, we're going to compare 3.58 and 10 over 3. And for B, we're going to compare 1 and 3 over 5 and 1 and 5 over 8. So how do we compare them? How do we solve it? How do we find if they are equal, they are greater than or less than? So first, we have to make one number same as the other number. So here we have the first number as decimal. So we will change 10 over 3 to a decimal number. To do that, we have to divide 10 by 3. So the answer is 3.33. So therefore, 3.58 is greater than 10 over 3, or 10 over 3 is less than 3.58. So remember this one, the sign change or the sign changes because we swap the numbers. So here for letter B, to find them, if to know if they are greater than or less than in comparing. So we have to change first the fraction part into similar fractions. And to do that, we have to find the LCM or the least common multiple of 5 and 8. And to do that, we can just multiply them. So the answer is 40. To get 40, we have to multiply 8 by 5. So that is 40. So we will do the same thing on the upper part. So 3 times 8 equals 24. So to get 40 here, we have to multiply 5 by 8. So the answer is 40. So we will do the same on the upper part. So this one will become 5 times 5 equals 25. So we can easily see that this one is bigger or greater than. So therefore, 1 and 5 over 8 is greater than 1 and 3 over 5. Or we can swap them, 1 and 3 over 5, but this time we will use less than 1 and 5 over 8. Now, let's also learn the following symbols. So for A, we have here greater than or equal to. That means to say, if it is compared to a number, that number will be included in our solution. So if it is like x is greater than or equal to 3, so 3 is included. So the opposite of that, B less than or equal to. So this one is the symbol for it. So let's learn some examples. So example, you were asked, identify the relationship. You have to say greater than or equal to shown or less than or equal to based on each of the following situations. A, the capacity of the water container is 500 milliliters. And that means to say this is the full amount that it can contain. B, the minimum investment in a certain company is 10,000 baht. So you can only join the company if you do have 10,000 baht. So how do we describe them? So for A, so we can make this statement, the amount of water that can be filled in is less than or equal to 500 milliliters. So we can put into that container 500 milliliters or less. So we cannot put more than that because it will overflow. For B, the invested money can be greater than or equal to 10,000 baht. So you can join with 10,000 baht if you do have more money. So you can also join, but less than 10,000 baht, you cannot. So let's answer the following exercises. These ones are very easy. So first, I'm going to give you some how to answer it. I'm going to give you an example. So let's read the problems. For one, identify the relationship greater than or less than based on each of the situations below. A, the body length of that baby is shorter than 30 centimeters. So we're talking about the body length of a certain baby. So how do we do it? So to describe it, the relationship is less than. So because the word shorter here gives us an idea that it is less than. So for B, the school netball team scored under 12 goals. So be mindful of this keyword, under. So C, the height cleared by that high jumper is about 2.1 meters. So the keyword here is above. So what's the answer? So we'll leave B and C for you to answer. So let's go to letter number 2. Write the relationship between each of the following pairs of numbers using the symbol greater than or less than. So for A, we have 3.084 and 3.48. For B, we have -7, -13. For C, 0.12 and 1 over 8. And for D, we have 4 over 7, 7 over 13. So we will do A first. So here we have to use less than. So 3.084 is less than 3.48. So I will leave B, C, and D for you as your homework. Now let's go to number 3. Number 3, identify the relationship greater than or equal to or less than or equal to based on each of the following situations. A company made a maximum profit of 3.5 million baht. So the amount of money earned by that company at maximum is 3.5 million baht. Maximum means the highest amount, or that's the peak amount. B, a senior citizen must be at least 55 years old. And C, the price of each unit double-story house is 1,800,000 baht and above. So for A, we can make this statement: the company's profit is less than or equal to 3.5 million baht. Because the word maximum here, this is the highest amount that they can get. So here, 3.5 million baht is equal to or less than the profit is less than or equal to 3.5 million baht. So for B, I'm going to leave that one for you to answer. Likewise with letter C. Okay, so that's the very basic lesson about inequality. So we've learned already, and we have already the idea where inequality is used and what are the symbols used in doing it or in solving it. So now we will use them into this form. So we will learn about linear inequality in one variable. What is it? So here we will use the same symbols that we use in inequality. So we have greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. So here we do have these symbols for linear inequality. But here we have to be mindful that we also have these words, one variable. What does it mean? So variables are letters for any quantity that we can substitute, that can be substituted. For example, A, B, C, D, and so on. So those are letters that has value, but we can, like for example, we are solving equation that we don't know the value yet, so we will use variables. So that variable, when we solve it, we will get an answer or a value for it. So linear expression, its variable's exponent is 1. So here, x raised to 1 or x to the power 1 or x. So the same thing, they are equal. Because when we write x raised to 1, most of the time we don't write 1 here anymore because it's already understood that the exponent is 1. So now this one is an example of a linear expression. Why? Because here we have one variable. At the same time, it has the exponent is 1, or the exponent is 1. But this one is not. Y is less than or equal to 2x plus 1. This is not a linear inequality in one variable because it has y and x. So it has already 2 variables. So this one is not also, because w squared is greater than 5 has this variable raised to 2. So this one is not a linear expression anymore because the exponent should be 1. So this one is 2. So it's not. So let's learn some examples. For example, you were asked, determine whether each of the following relationship is a linear inequality in one variable. So you have to remember, look for the exponent and count the number of variables. So remember this one variable. So the answers for this, for A, it's yes, it is, because it has one variable at the same time the exponent is 1. For B, no, it has 2 variables. We have C and B, so therefore it's not. And for C, it is also not a linear inequality because in one variable, because its variable's exponent is higher than 1. So look at this. It has exponent is 2. So it's not 1. So therefore it's not. So now let's learn in determining the possible solutions for a given inequality. So possible solutions, those are numbers that can satisfy the inequality, that can be a possible answer. So for example, determine the possible solutions for each of the following inequalities. if A is an integer. So this is a very important statement. A is an integer. What are integers again? So integers are positive and negative numbers, including 0, and they are all whole numbers. So fractions and decimals are not integers. So for example here, so A is greater than 5. So what are integers that are greater than 5? So the answer is, if A is an integer, we have to say and state this statement. The possible solutions for A that are greater than 5 are 6, 7, 8, and so on. You have 9, 10, 11, 12. So for B, A is less than 3.5. So remember this one, less than. So less than 3.5. So A, what are the whole numbers less or whole numbers which are less than 3.5? So let's state again, if A is an integer, the possible solutions for A that are less than 3.5 are 3, 2, 1, and so on. So 3 is less than, 2 is less than, 1 is less than 3.5. So for C, we have A is less than or equal to negative 2. Remember the word here, equal, tells us that negative 2 is included in our solution. So we will state that one again. If A is an integer, the possible solutions for X that are less than or equal to negative 2, I'm sorry, for this one, it should be A. Okay, so just change it one. Solutions for A that are less than or equal to negative 2 are negative 2, negative 3, negative 4. So this one, negative 2 is included because of the word equal here. So negative 3 and negative 4. Now, how do we graph an inequality? So for this one, we need a number line. So for number line, if we are given with the following, if we were given with the following inequality, for example, X is greater than 5. So how do we graph it? Now try to look at this one. So when we did it, when we draw the diagram, we made this circle which has a hole. Why? Because it tells us that 5 is not included, but it's closer here. Okay, it's very close to 5. So here, X is greater than 5. So here we have greater than, therefore, the arrow should be going to the right. So greater than, going to the right. For number 2 example, we have X is greater than or equal to 5. To graph that one, we have a very similar diagram as in 1, but this time we shaded the circle. So it doesn't have a hole. That means to say 5 is included. For number 3, we have X is less than 5. So this is 5. How do we graph that? So the same thing here, we will make a circle which has a hole to tell us that 5 is not included. And this time, because it's less than, the arrow goes to the left. And for number 4, X is less than or equal to 5. So 5 is here. So this time we will shade the circle because 5 is included now. So the same thing, this is less than, so therefore the arrow is going to the left. Let's have some more examples. So how do you represent each of the following inequalities on a number line? So number 1, letter A, we have X is greater than negative 1. Letter B, X is less than 3.5. Letter C, X is less than or equal to 4. And D, X is greater than or equal to 1/4 or 1/4. So how do you solve them? How do we make the graphs? So for A, we have that, and for B, we have that. Try to compare them. Okay, so for A, So both of them, they don't have equal sign here. So therefore, -1 is not included. And here, 3.5 is also not included. And this one, it's going to the right because it's greater than. And this one is going to the left because it's less than. Okay. So for C and for G, so we shaded the circle now because we do have the equal sign. And it should start with 4 going to the left, and this one is going to the right because of less than means go to the right, and greater than means go to the left. Go to the right, and less than go to the left, greater than go to the right. So I hope that is clear enough for you. So let's learn more about it. Now, how about if you were given graphs? How do you make or how do you construct the linear inequality for it? So for this one, we have A, B, C, D. We have to be mindful of these two things, the direction of the arrow and the symbol if it is does have a hole and the one that doesn't have. So how do we find or how do we write the inequality for that? So for this one, we have 2 here, so therefore we will use 2. And let's use X, for example. So this one doesn't have a hole, so therefore it's either more than or greater than or less than. So this one is going to the right, so we are sure that it is greater than. So therefore, we have X is greater than 2. So same thing for letter B, we have X is less than -3 because this one is going to the left, so therefore we will have less than here. So this one has shaded parts, so this one has equal sign, this one has shaded part, this one has equal sign. So therefore this one is X is less than or equal to 2, and this one is X is greater than or equal to 1/2. Now this time, let's learn how to construct linear inequalities. So we have to remember these 3 things. First, identify the variable and represent it with a suitable letter. So you can use any letter that you want, but that letter should be easy to remember. Number 2, use the symbols greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to based on the given information. And third, of course, you have to write the linear inequality. So for example, we have here, construct a linear inequality for each of the following information. So A, Peter has to read more than 10 pages of his math book every day. We have the keyword here, more than, keywords more than. So B, the maximum number of people allowed to enter that room is 20. So maximum is the keyword here. For C, at least 50 students passed the test. So the keywords here are at least. So how do we construct it? So for A, let R be the number of pages. So that Peter reads in a day. So therefore, we can have this inequality. R is greater than 10. That means to say he has to read more than 10 pages every day. For B, let P be the number of people in the room. Therefore, P is less than 10. Remember the word maximum, so it should be less than 10. That's the highest number that it can get. It can be. So, oops, I'm very sorry about this one. This one should be 20. So P is less than 20. It's not 10. So change that one. It should be 20. And for C, uh, let S be the number of students who passed the test. Therefore, S is greater than or equal to 10. So the word at least here tells us that it should be more than 50, 50 or more than 50. So this one, you have to change this one also again. This one should be 50. This is wrong. This should 50, not 10. Now let's do this one. Okay, so this is the test yourself section. So I want you to answer the following. So let's read them first. Number one, determine whether each of the following relationships is a linear inequality in one variable. So A, we have 2x minus 1 is greater than x plus 3. So B, x squared is greater than or equal to 4. C, p minus 1 is less than or equal to q. And D, x1 is greater than negative 2. So let's do A. This one is yes. Why? Although you can see two x's here, but they are the same x, the same variable, should I say. So x is just one variable, so therefore it is. And the highest exponent is 1, or the exponent of x here is 1, the exponent of x here is 1. So we use only one variable, so therefore, yes, it is a linear inequality in one variable. So I will leave letter B, C, and D for you to answer. So for number 2, we have to determine the possible solutions for each of the following linear inequalities if x is an integer. So we have A, x is greater than 3.5, B, x is less than negative 4 and 1/2, C, x is less than or equal to negative 5, and D, x is greater than or equal to 8. So for A, the answers are, if x is an integer, the possible solutions for x that are greater than 3.5 are 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and so on. So we have to use only the whole numbers because we stated at first that x is an integer. So we'll leave letter B, C, and D for you to answer. So you can use A as your base or your example. So number 3, represent each of the following inequalities on a number line. For A, we have x is less than or equal to 5. And B, x is greater than negative 4. To graph that one, so we have this. So 5 here is shaded because we have this, which is less than or equal to. So we have equal to, so it is included. And less than means the arrow, the direction of the arrow should go to the left side. And to continue that, for letter C, we have x is less than or less than 1.5. D, for D, x is greater than or equal to negative 3 and 1/4. So number 4 is the opposite. Write an inequality for each of the following. So you were given a graph, a diagram, so you have to write the inequality for them. So for number 1, so we have here negative 8. So we will use negative 8. And we have unshaded part, so it's either less than or greater than. And the arrow is going to the right, so therefore it is greater than. So we will have x, sorry. So this is another example for C. Okay, so you can use that one as your answer. So you can copy that one. So I gave that one to you, so just do letter D. So for A, and same thing with D here. So for A, it's x is greater than negative 8. So going to the right means greater than, no shaded part, or the circle is not shaded. So therefore, it doesn't have equal here. So we'll use the number here, negative 8. So you're going to do the same for letter B, C, D. So here, construct a linear inequality for each of the following information. A, the minimum mark scored by the pupils in the mathematics test was 56. To write that one, we have M to stand for the score. So it's greater than or equal to 56. So here, the minimum mark, that means to say the score should be greater than or equal to 56. So you get pupils can get 56 and above. So you're gonna do the same thing for B. You have to represent or make a linear inequality for them. So B Sactus collections for today is not less than 5,000 baht. Remember the keywords, not less than. So C, Mali ate less than 100 calories each meal. So we have here less than. D, not more than. So remember the keywords not more than. 20 teachers have seen the show. So how do you represent them using inequality? So that's all for today. Thank you so much for listening. So hope to see you again next time in our next online class. Thank you and God bless.